Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala Rasulihil Kareem. Wa ala alihi wa ashabi. Wa man istanna bi sunnatihi ila yawmiddin. All praise is due to Allah, and may Allah's peace and blessings be on the last Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and on all those who follow the path of righteousness until the last day. We are beginning now our seventh session in which we'll be looking at the eighth name among the names of Allah, the 99 that we will be covering in this series. And this name is as-Salaam, and it is found in the Quran, and the location in the Quran is only once in Surah Al-Hashr. In terms of the meaning, because as we said, Allah instructed us to call on Him through or with these names. So for us to be able to call on Him, worship Him, utilizing this name as-Salaam, it is important for us to understand its meaning. Yes, we say as-Salamu alaykum every time, every day, but when we're doing that, that's not actually calling on Allah by His name, that name specifically. That as-Salaam is being used in a different context. So to understand, we need to understand the root of the meaning, the root meaning of this name, as-Salaam. It comes from salam as well as from salama. And in the Arabic context, it means what is free from defect, safe, and well-being. All of these meanings are included. What is free from defect, that's like Al-Quddus that we took already. That element is there. And it is also safe or safety, a state of safety. And the third meaning is that of well-being. So when the greeting Salam Alaikum is given, it means fundamentally that one is guaranteeing safety from their side to the person who they're giving the salams to, and declaring that there is no hostility, there's an absence of hostility in dealing with them. Now, with respect to Allah, the name means, on one hand, that Allah is free from any defects, as we said, like Al-Quddus, and deficiencies, and also that He will greet the believers in paradise with salam, saying, Salamun qawlan min Rabbir Rahim. Peace, a greeting from the most merciful Lord. So Allah is the source of peace and safety. And in order now to apply this name, fundamentally, we can say that we should adopt peace in our dealings with people. Right? As Allah teaches us through His own merciful way of dealing with us, we, in dealing with others, should treat them peacefully. We should be a peace-loving people. And that's what Muslims fundamentally are, peace-loving people. However, it is the media distortion through politicians and others that have painted Muslims as violent, people who love blood, you know. So anything that is connected, they say, okay, chopping off hands means that we're bloodthirsty. You know, the fact that we slaughter our animals before eating them, we do them ourselves. They say, look, these people are just bloodthirsty people. I mean, but this is, of course, distortion. I mean, our method of slaughter is far more humane than the methods used in the West or in other societies. Secondly, what is unique of that name, Salam, free from defect, obviously, is not applicable to human beings. We can't make that claim for ourselves, but we affirm it for Allah. And belief in this divine name, believing that Allah is the bestower of peace. This peace that we're speaking about, the ultimate peace, is that of paradise in the next life. There is peace in this life which He has given us at different points, etc. But the peace of paradise will be peace which is everlasting. The believer has to live in this life contented with the self-imposed prison which he or she puts on himself or herself, while the disbeliever is free to enjoy life and do it as he or she wishes. The Prophet ﷺ compared this life to a prison in a hadith narrated by Abu Huraira, in which he said, "This world is a prison for the believer and paradise for the disbeliever. Ad-dunya sijnul mu'min wa jannatul kafir." This is the basic description of how we have to consider and address this life. It is a self-imposed prison. It's a prison that if we chose not to stay, we could leave anytime. But believing that the sacrifice of living in this confined way, it will bring us ultimate peace in the life to come, then we do it happily. And in any case, what Allah has prescribed has been for our benefit, because the things which Allah has forbidden, whether it's alcohol, whether it's riba, interest, or whether it is fornication, murder, all of these things are harmful things to society, to individuals as well as to the society as a whole. So us restraining ourselves from being engaged in these practices is for our own betterment, and it makes for a better life in general. Where do we find the sense of calm and inner peace from the pleasures of the world? Cocaine, music festivals, bars, etc. Is this what will give us internal peace? It's pleasure. There's pleasure in it, but it's short-lived pleasure. It's not pleasure that just stays with you. When you have inner peace, then it's going to be with you all the time, not just for a minute. And this is why Allah informed us in the Quran, أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنَّ الْقُلُوبِ. It is only with the remembrance of Allah that hearts truly find rest. It is through the remembrance of Allah. So that prison that we create for ourselves, it's one based on the remembrance of Allah. Remembering what Allah has in store for us, remembering Allah's instructions to us and what it does for us in this life, etc. But it's through that remembrance that ultimately our souls will find true rest. Now, in terms of the safety, or we could say the absence of harm being conveyed to those around us, based on this divine name, we said this name as-Salaam from Allah, it also represents safety. That peace, etc. is one issue, but safety, that we treat people in a manner where they feel safe. We prevent harm from them by keeping them safe. And the Prophet ﷺ described this as a part of the Muslim character, a basic part of the Muslim character, when he said, the true Muslim is one whose tongue and hand Muslims are safe from. Al-Muslim man salim al-Muslimuna min lisanihi wa yadi. This is the true Muslim. His lisan, his tongue, his cursing people, speaking ill of them, backbiting, all the different things that comes from the tongue, that is harm. And hand, stealing their properties, hitting them, harming them in that way, murder, all these other physical activities that may involve harm in other human beings. So a true Muslim is one who is free from this, is not engaged in this. So by describing the true Muslim in that way, this principle of Salam, Muslims being people of Salam, or peace, peace-loving people, this is a part and parcel of our way of life, which is taken from the name as-Salam, belonging to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In terms of praying using His name, because remember that Allah had informed us, لِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا. Allah has the most beautiful names, so call on Him using them. So, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ taught us how to use the name as-Salam in our prayers, telling us that after our daily prayers, we should ask Allah's forgiveness 3 times, saying, Astaghfirullah, sincerely, Astaghfirullah, Astaghfirullah, I seek forgiveness from you, O Allah. Then we say this supplication, this dua, which is a remembrance of Allah at the same time, and it involves Allah's name. We should say, Allahumma anta salam wa minka salam tabarakta ya dhal jalali wal ikram. O Allah, you are peace, and peace comes from you. May you be blessed, O owner of glory and grace. O Allah, you are peace. as-Salaam. And peace comes from you. وَمِنْكَ as-Salaam. May you be blessed. تباركت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام, O owner of glory and grace. So this is a dua worth learning, one which was taught by the Prophet ﷺ, and we should utilize it after our daily prayers. The Prophet ﷺ at the same time also encouraged the spreading of peace by frequently greeting each other with salams. Abu Huraira quoted the Prophet ﷺ as saying, "You will not enter paradise until you believe, and you will not believe until you love each other. Shall I not guide you to something which if you did it, you will love each other? Spread the greetings of peace among yourselves. Afshu bainakum as-Salaam, or Afshu as-Salaam bainakum. Spread peace amongst you." That is the greetings of peace, as-Salaam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And the spreading of peace greetings is an important Islamic custom which bonds the society together. It is so important that the Prophet ﷺ gave details as to the protocol of giving greetings in order for it not to be confined to commoners and greeting the nobles, meaning that you give your salams to the nobles, but not the common people. You'll walk by, you ignore them, people you don't know, etc. But if there's somebody who is obviously an important person, they look like an important person and everything, you quickly, Assalamu alaikum. This is not the way. The Prophet ﷺ said, the young should greet the elders. So this is the protocol now. Who should greet first? Because, okay, young and elders come together. Who should greet first? According to the Prophet ﷺ, the younger should give greetings to the elders with peace. The passerby should greet the one sitting. Again, somebody sitting down in a circumstance and you come walking by them, then you who are walking by, you have the first right or obligation to greet those who are sitting. And the smaller group should greet the larger group. If you are 2 or 3 people and you come upon 10 people, then you as the smaller group should give the greetings to the larger. And he also said that the one riding should greet the one walking. The one walking is walking along. The one riding is obviously coming up to them. So, him up there, one might think that he's sitting up there. Usually, the one sitting on the horse will be one in a superior position, etc. But the Prophet ﷺ said no. That one up there should give greetings of salams to the one who is walking. And the one walking should give salams to the one sitting. And he also, the Prophet ﷺ, on other occasion, he gave superiority to the one who greets those who they know and those who they don't know. Greeting those who you know and those who you don't know. Greeting those who you know, that's easy. People do that all the time. It's natural. But greeting those who you don't know, people tend to ignore those who they don't know. And the giving of peace was something not unique to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. He was not the only one doing it. The prophets did it. You can find even in the Gospels, as distorted as they are, we can't rely on them as sources of correct or completely correct information, but there is some truth in them. It states there in the chapter 20, verse 19, Jesus sent to them again, "Peace be with you." Said to them, Jesus said to the people, "Peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, even so I send you." He gave peace. That's he greeted. And actually the Jews, even today, in their language, because it's a sister language of Arabic, Shalom Aleichem, this is the greeting which they greet each other with. And this is from the practice of Jesus and from the practice of the earlier prophets. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, in terms of giving salams, we can say basically giving salams to human beings is fine, great, but giving salams to Allah is not appropriate. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud related that they used to pray behind the Prophet ﷺ and say, "As-Salamu ala Allah." And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Indeed, Allah is the bestower of peace. So you shouldn't say that. Better that you say, At-Tahiyyatu lillahi wa salawatu wa tayyibatu. As-Salamu alayka ayyuha nabi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As-Salamu alayna wa ala ibadillah as-salihin. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah. Wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh." So this giving salams to Allah, companions did it thinking that it was a good thing. Some of them did. And the Prophet ﷺ clarified, no, it's not appropriate. Right? We can't give peace to Allah, and Allah is the giver of peace. We said, as-Salaam, this name, the meaning is that He is the bestower of peace. So the Prophet ﷺ corrected the companions in those times, in his time, from doing that. So naturally, likewise, we would be expected to avoid that. So that concludes basically what we were to discuss regarding this name, as-Salaam, following the four principles of adopting it where applicable. That is, we treat people peacefully and we give salams to them. What is unique and special to Allah, we affirm, as the Prophet ﷺ did. He disallowed giving salams to Allah. Instead, giving salams to our fellow Muslims, whether we know them or we don't know them, whether they're of great status or children. Also, in the giving of salams, Allah being the bestower of peace, and that ultimate peace is the peace of paradise, we should take from that name hope for paradise. Allah has prescribed the giving of salams for us, reminding us of the paradise to come, in which we will find the fullness of salam. And at the same time, because He is the one who bestows salam, peace, we have to avoid whatever is going to prevent that peace from reaching us. And that is whatever Allah has forbidden. Because we will not find peace in what He has forbidden. So, as we practice in Ramadan to control ourselves, our appetites, our desires, etc., this is so that outside of Ramadan, we would be able to control ourselves from those things which were prohibited by Allah. And when we do so, we should find some element of peace in our lives, knowing that we have obeyed Allah and that He is the ultimate bestower of peace. So with that, we will close this session having covered the 8th name. And I know at the pace that we're going, you might be thinking again, are we going to be able to finish the 99 in Ramadan? Well, as I said, if we don't in Ramadan, we will try to keep it going and finish it after Ramadan. But, inshallah, we'll try to do as many as we can in this month. Now, before closing the session, I will look at some of your questions and answer them. And again, remember, please, we focus on questions which are related to our topic. I know there's many things you'd like to ask about. Somebody was asking about cremation, but from yesterday's questions, we mentioned regarding Allah's name Al-Quddus, which is the one free from any kind of deficiency, etc. And so our brother Tabish Suhail had asked the question, but it was too late, about the use of the name or the phrase Ruhul Qudus for angel Gabriel, Jibril. So how is it that, the angel is called Qudus? No. This phrase, Ruhul Qudus, Ruh is the spirit being who was sent by Al-Qudus. That is Allah. He is the spirit sent by Allah. Not that the spirit is holy. Allah is holy. So it is the spirit of the holy, meaning the spirit sent by the holy. Okay, there's a question, I guess this is sort of Ramadan related, concerning Sister Monica is asking, if smoking is haram, what about chemical food or drink that we consume? Is it not the same? Smoking? No. There is harm in sugar, artificial drinks, etc. There is harm in large quantities. This is where the harm lies. Smoking is a different category altogether. smoking causes cancer. This is already proven fact. This is not opinion. And cancer causes death. Therefore, smoking causes death. Because of that, Allah has already told us clearly in the Quran, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Don't kill yourselves. We know something will kill us. It's not permissible to take it. Chemicals in food and drink, if we take it in small quantities, it's not going to kill us. It's not the same thing at all. But of course, we should look after our health and avoid taking things which we know are harmful. That's a given, as we in Islam are not allowed to kill ourselves or to harm ourselves. So we avoid a lot of sugary drinks, artificial foods, genetically modified, etc. As much as we can, we avoid these things. But smoking is like taking alcohol. It's on the same kind of level of prohibition. Okay, I think that's the, and of course, people who avoid cigarettes during Ramadan, in the fasting hours, and as soon as the time comes to break fast, they break fast with a cigarette. Allah yahdikum. May Allah guide you all. Because this is, this should be a time to get up all together. That's what Ramadan is, an opportunity for you to tackle this bad habit. And I know people say, I'm just addicted, I can't help it. My father accepted Islam when he was 40 years old, in his 40s. Sorry, in his 50s. And he had been smoking for most of his life. About 30 years of his life he had been smoking. And alhamdulillah, after accepting Islam, he quit. He had been trying before, off and on. But after he accepted Islam, he put it aside and that was it. We know it can be done.